welcome back to the Player YouTube channel. Thanks once again for watching one of our reviews. And today is one of my favourite reviews because here is my little friend, affectionately known as Betsy. She's a Malvern Plus 4 and I've had the privilege of driving this car for in excess of 1,000 miles this week. The length, the width, the breadth, whatever you want to call it, of the whole of the UK. And I've really enjoyed it. At the beginning of the trip, I really thought I might end up with a new set of teeth, at the very least. This car is superbly built. It's built here in Malvern, a small town in the countryside. It's just iconic. The Plus 4 is the pinnacle. This is the biggest selling in the range of Malvern cars, and rightly so. It's got a 2-litre full GDI engine. It's 154 brake horsepower and over 200 Newton meters of torque. 900 kilos in weight, it's nothing. And a 0 to 60 of 7.5 seconds, which, trust me, when you're driving this car, feels like it's about 3.5 seconds. It really has got a lovely feel to it. The actual chassis on this is an autophoretic chassis. Now you're probably wondering what that is. Well, they take an ash frame, that's ash as in wood, and then they coat it in like an aluminium. They surround it and they bond it so it's almost glued to that piece of wood. It's quite incredible. And if you look now up on the left there's a great factory tour. You can watch the whole factory tour here of when we go around the Malvern factory later on. It's an iconic car. It is. We've had this discussion over and over in the car with my cameraman as to what type of person buys a car like this. And we can't quite figure it out yet, but I know I'm one of them, and so's my cameraman, and we're completely different age groups, so age has nothing to do with this car. I think it's a love of cars, a love of petrol, and just a love of being out on the open road. The car itself, well, it's just behaved impeccably for the whole journey. Let's take a look under the bonnet, let's take a look inside, let's get the roof down and the doors off, because that's a Malvern. It's so versatile. Catch up with you in a second. Under the bonnet here, the Ford GDI 2-litre. Very compact, got a great sound to it as well. Superb exhaust on this car. It comes linked up to a Mazda 5-speed gearbox, which in my opinion is probably one of the best gearboxes on the market today. It's a little heavy on the clutch and the brakes take a little bit of getting used to, but apart from that, this car absolutely sings when it's on the road. It's got such a great sound. I love this, and I love the fact that this pops open like no other bonnet I've seen apart from a vintage car. Let me show you how the roof comes off and how the doors come off, because this car starts to take on a whole different shape when you start pulling it around a little bit. Let's take a look around this car and let me show you some of the lovely little quirky bits. So, the only problem with a Malvern is it's more of a sort of one-night stay car, if you get my drift. And what I mean by that is there isn't a boot, as you can see. So there's not a trunk in American, sorry. There's no trunk, no boot, so there's nowhere to put luggage. But there is a little space. You lift up this quite easily. I've pre-released it. There's a little catch inside here. In here is a lovely bag that Malvern supply, and this bag is used for putting your doors in. And then when you have your doors in there, rather than have to stick them in here and take up your luggage space, this lovely pannier on the back here, you just simply slide them inside there. I'm going to leave that there for the moment because we're not going to put all the doors in and show you, it'd be boring. So you've got the idea, you get 2 decent sized weekend bags in there, and we've tested this and it 100% works. Drop that down. This is how easy it is to undo to take the hood off on my own, so you don't need 2 people for this. Open your door very simply, unclip here. I've already unclipped the other side just to make life easier and simpler for me to show you. This just folds back very neatly like that and drops down simply like that, and then you reattach your little clip there. I'm not going to do it now because I'm going to put the roof, well, no, that's fair, I'm going to keep the roof down, why not? Now we have a completely different looking car. The doors come off too, and that is simple. Unclip here, lovely little knurled knobs there, and that just simply pops off like that. How lovely is that? Now, as I said, that goes in that bag very easily. Again, I'm not going to waste the time taking the other one off and showing you all that, but I think you get the idea. Now check this car out, because now it looks completely different. This is a much different drive as well, because with the roof up, it's quite sublime. With these doors down and the roof off, you're going to get some hairy driving. And when I mean hairy, it's the wind, it's the feel of the open road. And that's what this car was built for. It was built to look like this. This is an appendage, it's an add-on. It's just when it rains, if you're standing still, you don't want to get soaking wet. Because even when it rains in this car, if you're doing more than 30 miles an hour, it just blows over the top of you. So you don't even get wet. Let's get inside and have a look how Malvern have put this car together and the little bits and pieces that you get with the car. The first thing you have to learn when you buy a Malvern is how to get in and out of it, because you can really make yourself look stupid if you don't know how to do it. So this is the way Malvern have shown me, very simply. 1 foot in, there's a little ridge there. Put your back on the back of the seat, put your other foot in, and then you just slide yourself down and drop your feet in. As simple as that. The door shuts simply. Look at where I'm sitting. Isn't this fantastic? It's all leather, it's all hand stitched and handmade in the factory. This beautiful steering wheel. There aren't any airbags or any main safety systems in here, but what would you expect? This is a Malvern, and it was built to go out and drive on the road, and that's exactly what I've been doing with it, as I told you. Let's check out what we've got in here. So first of all, the lovely gearbox, that Mazda 5-speed. Handbrake a little bit far away, you have to stretch for it, and to release it you just pull back and release. To actually put it on, you click and hold. So it's the opposite way to a normal handbrake. There are steering adjustments here which you can get into a nice position. We've got the light stalk here with the indicators, we've got the wipers here, 3 lovely little wipers on here. It's a beautiful place to sit, I've got to admit. Very standard gauges, clock in the middle, rev counter, speedo, and then we've got our basic buttons here. Heaters, again, very basic. There's no aircon in this car. Who wants aircon? You don't need aircon. This is aircon when you've got the roof down and you can smell where you are, and you can smell the engine and the petrol, which is what I love. The 2 most important dials are obviously your fuel gauge and your temperature gauge, and they've put them right in front of you with some warning lights in between, and again here as well. So all in all, it's a super place to sit, and it's very, very comfortable. The seats, well, beautifully padded. As I said earlier, I've driven over 1,000 miles in this car. I haven't once suffered from backache. I haven't once suffered from having to get a new set of teeth. So yeah, it's super. It's been built by hand. It's perfect. My only little concern, and it's not a concern because I haven't had the radio on once or any music going, because you love to hear the sound of this engine. You really don't want to hear music, to be honest with you. But there is a radio, and it's tucked so far down there, right underneath, you probably can't even see it. Where my finger's pointing now, that is the radio CD. It's next to impossible to get to, and if you try and change stations or do anything while you're driving along, inevitably you're going to end up having a horrendous accident because you're stuck right down there trying to do it. So you really need your passenger to control your audio output. Let's get this car out on the road. Enough talking. Catch up with you in a second. Out in the open road in the Malvern Plus 4 is just so beautiful. You've got the wind in your hair, you've got the smell, the noises, it's just phenomenal. There's nothing beats it. So we're now heading back to the Malvern Motor Company in Malvern, and I'm very sad to actually say goodbye to Betsy, who I've spent so many miles with. We've almost become bonded together. You'll notice with this car, that lovely gearbox is tight, but that's what it's all about. And I've just passed the main reception to Malvern, so we're going to have to turn around and go back again. Listen, this car, it's like it's one of the most eco-friendly cars, and you're probably thinking, well, how can it be eco-friendly? It's made of metal and wood, and well, it is, because while I'm turning around, I'm going to tell you, this car is like a beautiful watch. It's something that your father or your uncle or your grandfather would pass down to you, would leave to you when you become of age. And you're not going to sell it, you're going to keep it because you love it just as much as they did. And that's what makes it so eco-friendly. that they don't get scrapped. It's very, very rare. And if you do need something, and you do need a part for it, or you need something replacing, then where we're pulling in now, they'll sort it out for you, because this is where they're made. And again, it's just a wonderful place to be. We're now going to go in, and don't forget, as I said earlier on, we're going to do a full factory tour today. So if you click up here now, you can watch the factory tour, and then you can see how these cars are made and where Betsy was born, if you like. Guys, thanks for watching. Smash the thumbs up if you like what you're watching. Subscribe, thank you, appreciated. And any comments or any other cars down below, just hit that button and give me some comments. I love it. The more comments, the better. And don't forget, we do loads of cars. They're not all as good as Betsy here, but we like to do cars, and that's what we're all about. This is the player you've been watching me talking about, the Malvern +4. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Catch you next time.